Yo, we is back, dog. Okay, but like real talk, like this has been one of, if not the active worst weeks in history. Week 7 was literally horrible, at least for pick'ems. Like the Bills losing, the Commies losing, the Giants. Like the Giants winning, bro. Falcons beating the Bucks. Like the Raiders losing the Bears. Like it was a really bad week. I won like five games. I think it was crazy. Um, but yeah, we're back. Week 8. Hopefully we bounce back. Let's see what we got here. So, Bucks at Bills, and I mean like these two teams have been struggling, right? Like Buffalo, they lose to New England. That is literally horrible. Losing to New England is one of the possibly worst things practically ever. And the Bucks lose to Atlanta, a game that could have, propelled them in the division rankings, kept them first in the division. And if they win that game, honestly, I think they might have the division on lock, unless the Falcons trade for a quarterback or something. Because the Falcons win that division if anyone but Desmond Ridder is their quarterback, pretty easily actually. But the Bucks were about what, 2 games in a row or something. Yeah, like 2 games in a row, the Bucks have literally not been good. Uh, they're just losing. You lose to Seattle, you lose to Atlanta. So both these teams looking to bounce back because the Bills, 3 of their last 4. Right? Games that they just don't look good in, right? Like ever since the Miami game, I don't know if Buffalo's been the same. They lose to Jacksonville. Actually, no, it was the last 3 games actually they didn't look good. And they lose to Jacksonville, barely beat the Giants. They, lose to New England. I mean, it's been horrible. So both of these teams are looking to bounce back. I just think the Bills will. I just think that there's a higher ceiling with that offense. I think Josh Allen knows that he needs to bounce back, and he's just going to be looking to have one of his God games. And when Josh Allen has one of his on games, there isn't a damn thing in the world you can do to beat him. Honestly, like it's just like that. You can't beat Josh Allen if he's on. So we're gonna pick the Bills because I think they will bounce back because I think Josh Allen knows that he needs to be better. I think the offense will be better because I know this team's ceiling, and the Tampa Bay Bucks just don't have that. So next up we have Rams at Cowboys, and look, the Cowboys, I'm gonna pick them. The Rams are a decently feisty team, like they aren't gonna back down from a fight or anything. Like they're like a pretty good team ish, but they're just, I don't know. The sentiment with them is that they're just not ready yet. Like, they're losing to teams they shouldn't be losing to. And overall, they're not really able to beat any contenders. Like, they're able to compete, but they're not able to beat any contenders, right? Like, they play the Eagles, they come up just short. They play the Niners, they come up just short. And this game against Dallas, I feel, is going to be similar because Dallas is a real team and a contender. And I don't think the Rams are ready to make the playoffs or have a playoff run yet. They might be next year. We'll see. But yeah, I'm going to pick the Cowboys. Because, I mean, the Cowboys, when they play these middle-of-the-road bad teams, they get on these mid-season stretches where they're playing some really good football, and they can get hyped up for real. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in this game. But yeah, I got Dallas here and the Vikings at the Packers. And can we just take a second to talk about how bad the Green Bay Packers are? They just lost 3 straight games to I want to say, after the Saints game that they won, they lost to I'm forgetting, but they lost one game, and then they lost to the Raiders and to the Vikings. And that is just, you cannot, not the Raiders and the Vikings, the Raiders and the Broncos. And those are 2 really, really bad teams, like bottom of the barrel teams. Like these aren't just bad teams. Like, these are just like some of the worst, especially the Broncos. Like, that's horrible. And they both lost because Jordan Love didn't play well. The offense isn't working. Matt LaFleur can't adapt. Joe Barry's still on the team. And the Vikings just came off of beating the 49ers, which is basically the greatest thing you can do. And the thing is, I think the Vikings might be on a play. Like, they might be able to make it to the playoffs, which is, like, crazy. Because, they started off the year really bad, like 0-3. But they've won 3 of their last 4. They are, their next, like, 5 or 6 games are, like, all really bad teams, like Packers, Saints. Packers, Saints. They still haven't played the Broncos and the Raiders. They still have, like, the NFC South, like the Falcons and stuff. Like, these are some really nice and easy games coming up for the Vikings that are all very winnable. They could get on a run quick. And they might actually have a chance to make the playoffs. But it all starts with this game against Green Bay, right? And suddenly winning 4 of their last 5, if they win this game, they're going to be in a good spot, man. They're going to be in a good spot, back at 500. So I'm going to pick the Vikings to win this game. I mean, I really like them. And if Justin Jefferson comes back, this team's going to be dangerous. Next up, we have Atlanta at Tennessee. And I would have picked Tennessee, but it's just clear at this point that they've given up on the season. Like, they're just going to go for Caleb. At 2-4, like, chances are low right now, but, I mean, what else are they going to do, right? Because they're just the middle of the pack team. They're not going to make the playoffs in the AFC we live in. So, what are they going to do? I would have picked them to win, but they just traded Kevin Byard, and they're going to be starting Will Levis and Malik Willis. Like, you're not going to win like that. I mean, hopefully Levis is good for them. I like Levis. I liked him coming out of college, but, I mean, this is his first start, and he wasn't, preparing to start this season. And I'm hearing reports about, Derrick Henry is up for trade. Like, the Bills, I hear, have been trying to trade for Derrick Henry. And they're trying to get it done before the deadline. And D-Hop might be traded again. Like, it's going to be crazy. D-Hop's been everywhere lately. So, yeah, I think... And with that, with the Titans openly tanking, like, I think the Falcons are going to take this game and run with it. So, next you have Saints at Colts. And, like, that Saints offense is a problem. To themselves, dog. It's horrible. It's literally horrible. Pete Carmichael, Derek Carr's ass, like, all they do is check it down to Alvin Kamara. It's horrible. And even though the defense has been good, like, first of all, the Colts have been performing really well. If it isn't for the refs, they probably beat Cleveland. And we all know how good Cleveland's defense is. They almost put up 40 against Cleveland. And yeah, there were some flukish plays in there and, a lot of defensive turnovers. It was a wild, wild, wild game. But the Colts can play against a really good defense and come very close to winning. I mean, they should have won. They should have won if it wasn't for the refs. So, I'm going to pick the Colts to win here because the Colts have an offense and the Saints don't. Even though the Saints do have the better defense, like, I don't know, man. The Saints' offense has just struggled mightily. Next up, New England at Miami. And, like, good job, New England. You beat Buffalo. But, like, playing Miami in Miami for the Patriots is a death sentence. It just always has been, and it will be. And, again, one win doesn't make the Patriots really good again. Okay? Especially after the 30-point losses to Dallas and New Orleans. And, like, like, they're not good just because of one cute little win against Buffalo, and it was a good win. They really played well. Their offense showed up. Their O-line has been back, and they might make it a little closer against Miami, but with the injuries that New England has on defense, I don't know if they're going to be able to adapt, and especially not against Miami's receivers. And again, I think Miami's defense is pretty good as well. Like, I think they'll have a harder time running the ball against that good defensive line. I think that even though Miami's corners aren't back yet, Jalen Ramsey isn't back, but I mean, is it really going to be that hard of a time covering Demario Douglas and Kendrick Bourne and everybody else? Basically, is what that receiver core is like. Like just two average players and nobody else. So I think the Dolphins should win this game pretty handily. And okay, now this is the Battle of New York. Okay. So the Jets just coming off the bye week after beating the Eagles. I can't you know what? I got over the loss. I mean, the Eagles needed that. If we win that game, we probably don't beat Miami because the Eagles were just dancing around everybody in the beginning of the season. So, I'm gonna say that I finally got over that loss. But yeah, the Jets been looking good, and the Giants have not. Their offensive line still can't really block anybody. The good job, they beat Washington and they played Buffalo hard, but then again, Tyrod Taylor has been better than Daniel Jones, by a lot. But this Jets defense is too much. This Jets defense is really, really good. They're going to destroy the Giants. I mean, I don't know what the Giants are going to be able to do here. Running the ball is going to be hard. If Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed get back after the bye week, it's going to be nasty for the Giants. It's going to be nasty. Besides, the Giants don't have really the greatest receiving core either, so I'm just going to pick the Jets to win, even though they do have Zach Wilson. But I think that Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson will be able to put up enough offense for the Jets to win. And next up, we have Jags at Steelers, and something that I've just been thinking about lately. The Steelers are 4-2, and that's crazy. I don't know. Usually the Steelers, everybody's just giving the Steelers praise. I'm like, oh, Mike Tomlin, oh, this defense. They're always going to be above 500. This might be a hot take, and nobody might agree with me on this, but the Steelers are Josh McDaniels literally, knowing when to go for it on fourth down. The Ravens receivers knowing how to catch a football. The refs knowing how to spot a ball. And a Nick Chubb being healthy away from being 0-6. Their wins are based, pretty much based off of luck alone. And that's the way they've been winning just isn't sustainable to me. To me, that is not a sustainable way to win. And maybe you don't think that, maybe, it's just the power of Mike Tomlin. It's the power of Steeler football. It's the power of the Steeler culture. I'm going to pick the Jags to win. The Steelers are going to fall back to earth. I still think they are a team that's probably going to go above 500. But I don't think they're this good team, I don't think that they're on the Jags level. And I think that the Jags will send them back to earth. So next up, Eagles at Commies. And, the last time the Commies played us, they played us hard. They sent us into overtime. And ever since then, they've played like trash. They've been losing left and right. I think they beat Atlanta, but that's about it. But, I mean, Atlanta's Atlanta, right? The Commies really have not had any impressive wins. The most impressive game they had was Week 4 against the Eagles. And the thing is, that was a time when the Eagles were dancing around their opponents. Plus, they usually play us better in Philly for some reason. I don't know why, but this is actively a trend. You can look, for example, last year we literally destroyed them in their own home, but then they shredded us in Philly. And, there were a lot of weird circumstances that allowed the circumstances of that game to happen. They played, in Week 4, they're playing us really hard in Philly, but I don't know. I feel like ever since that Dolphins game, the Eagles have just got it more and more together. Coming off of that Jets loss, I feel like the Eagles are finally going to, start playing like their old selves again, right? And they just, started doing that against Miami. I think they'll continue the trend here. And besides, Sam Howell's been sacked 40 times, and the Eagles' defensive line is literally like a top 3 to 4 unit in the league. So take that as you will. And we're just gonna keep going. Texans at Panthers, and the Panthers are practically the worst team in the league. This game might be close because maybe the Panthers can do something against the Texans defense. And the Panthers do have a decently good defense themselves, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that this Panthers offense, like, when I say they can do something against the Texans defense, it's probably just not the case, really, because I get the Texans defense isn't the greatest thing in the world, but the Panthers offense is practically one of the worst in the league. If they're able to congeal, they might pick up some wins later in the season, but the offense hasn't been able to congeal. And the offensive line has been really, really bad. And Bryce Young just hasn't been able to survive. So we'll see. I still think CJ Stroud is going to take the Texans over the top because he's just been insane. We'll have to see, though. Browns Seahawks. And this is going to be one of my upset picks, but I am not even, like, I don't know. I don't think, I'm not impressed by the Seahawks. I'm not impressed by their defense. Like, their defense is, like, it looks good some weeks, it looks bad in others, but, like, I don't know. It never looks good against an actual quality opponent. You know, maybe in the second half against Cincinnati, that was a real, that's a real time their defense looked good. But besides that, I don't know. Like, they sacked Daniel Jones 11 times. Wow, what a shocker. It's Daniel Jones and the Giants' offensive line that still couldn't block anything at the time. Like, no, that doesn't impress me. And, you know, the Seahawks, and it's not just their defense, it's their offense. Their offense has had major red zone struggles. And they're playing the Browns. The Browns have, like, the best defense in the league, period. You know, their defense is going to force turnovers. Their defense is going to force stops. And with the Seahawks' ineffectiveness in the red zone is going to be very much affected. It's going to be impacted. It's going to be multiplied by how good the Browns are on defense. So I actually think the Browns are going to win this game. I mean, they're coming off 2 straight wins. They beat the 49ers. They beat the Colts. And yeah, the Colts game was more of a fluke than anything, but I don't know. I have a feeling that Seattle's just going to fall down. I really do. We're going to fall to Cleveland. Next up, Chiefs-Broncos. Okay, Chiefs won. Ravens-Cardinals. I don't know, man. This is just the Ravens, you know, game to win. Like, at the beginning of the season, it was so cool when they were all there. Look, they're so feisty. They're hanging in with other teams. And look, they beat Dallas. That's so cool. But, like, ever since they beat Dallas, man, like, the league actually, like, you know, zoned in on the Cardinals. Like they were like, oh, this team is actually real. We gotta lock in. They're playing better than expected. And everybody else locked in, and Arizona was, you know, they just don't have the talent to hang with everyone. So I'm just going to pick the Ravens. The Ravens are obviously the much better team. They have a lot more talent. And, you know, this Cardinals season is going probably better than expected because, you know, they're showing heart, but, you know, maybe until Kyler comes back, I don't know. This team doesn't have much hope. But they're, you know, they hang in there. They play decent. They try. And that's what matters, right? They're building a culture. And, you know, they're tanking. They're building for the future. So, I respect what they're doing, but they're not going to win any games like this, obviously, because they just don't have the talent. Bengals at 49ers. And look, I am an Eagles fan. I am naturally biased against the 49ers. So you can take this with however many grains of salt you want, but the Bengals are going to beat the 49ers on Sunday night. That's not even the Sunday night game, bro. I sold. But whatever. Sunday in the afternoon. Why can't this be flexed into a Sunday night, honestly? Like, NFL schedule makers really sold the bag with this one. Like, why can't we have 49ers Bengals on Sunday night instead of the Bears with Tyson Bagent and the Chargers? And I know that nobody knew that the Bears were going to have just the Tyson Bagent, but honestly, Tyson Bagent looks better than Fields, so I don't even want to hear it. Like, Fields literally sucks, and Tyson Bagent might honestly be better than him. That might be a hot take, and Bears fans, you are so welcome to get mad at me, but Justin Fields is literally trash, so, like, I don't want to hear it. Like, why can't we have this game instead of the Bears-Chargers? And, like, the Chargers literally have Brandon Staley. Like, no. The Bengals, I think... Okay, so first of all, we have to, mention that Brock Purdy's hurt. Brock Purdy's hurt. Sam Darnold's going to be coming in. And the 49ers have lost 2 straight games. Now, when Brock Purdy was in the game, there is a little bit of an asterisk there because Brock Purdy got concussed during the game, and after the play where his concussion happened, so to speak, that's when his 2 picks happened. He went 2 for 6. He had 2 interceptions. But the rest of the game, he was playing perfectly fine. Regardless, I don't know if they win that game. Maybe they do. Because, again, those 2 picks literally pretty much sealed the game. So they actually would have had a much better shot. But I still don't know if they do. Because the Vikings were literally so dominant. Especially on the offensive side of the ball prior to that. And on defense as well, even. So, but I think the Bengals offense is going to be too much. I think that a fully healthy Joe Burrow, I think that the receivers are going to be back. I mean, you saw what Kirk did to this. Why can't a fully healthy Joe Burrow do the same or even better? This is going to be the Bengals statement game. That's what I feel like. This is going to be the Bengals statement game, and they're going to be like, we are back. And then they're going to say it. We are back, and the Bengals are going to roll to a nice amount of wins. I think that, I don't know if they beat out Baltimore for the division, but they're definitely going to get, a high wild card spot. I think they end up with the 5th seed, but this is going to be their statement win. This game against the 49ers is going to be their statement win. Okay. Bears, Chargers. The Chargers. I mean, if Tyson Bagent manages to beat the Chargers, honestly, you just fire Staley right then and there, and the season's over. I don't even know what you do if you're the Chargers if you lose this game, but I don't think they do. I mean, come on, that would be crazy. That would literally be insane. Like, they couldn't, right? Like, they literally couldn't. I don't know. I mean, Bagent looked good last week against the Raiders and compared to Aiden O'Connell and Brian Hoyer. And Deontay Freeman was cool, but, again, it wasn't... Beating Aiden O'Connell and Brian Hoyer isn't impressive. To be fair, it's impressive when you're Tyson Bagent because that's the level of competition that, that's around his level, but I mean, come on, you're going up against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. No, this isn't, even though the Chargers aren't really a good team, I mean, come on, they're going to beat the Bears, right? I would imagine. Anyways, but yeah, that's just a bad game. I don't even, why can't they flex that out? You know what I mean? Why can't they flex that out? That should not be on primetime. But anyways, Raiders at Lions, and look, the Lions are looking to bite off some kneecaps. And I know that joke's old, but, they are looking to absolutely destroy. I can tell that Dan Campbell is pissed. He is pissed about what happened last week against the Ravens. They got blown out, 38-6. Dan Campbell is pissed. He's got his players working extra hard, taking no breaks right now. And I get it, that sounds really, stereotypical. No. I know Dan Campbell's like that. I know he's like that. And I know that, until they win against the Raiders, and they're going to be hungry. Because that's what this team plays like. This team plays hungry. And I know it all sounds stupid and stereotypical and cheesy and whatever, but, It's true. That's what this team plays like. And when they have a slip up like that, they're going to come back and they are going to destroy worlds. And the Raiders are the unfortunate souls that are going to have to deal with Dan Campbell on Monday night on primetime. It's going to be a Monday Night Massacre. I got the Lions winning 44-10, 54 points, and it's not looking good for the Raiders, and the Lions are going to get back on track. So that is it. Hope you liked the video. And yeah, have a good week, everyone.